Hello there, my gooners and goonettes, and welcome back to another classic Sunbeam Dev upload. Now, this one is kind of my lazier upload. I'm gonna be a little honest. I just need to get something out in between what's going to be a video that's already a week old and a video that's not coming out for a month. I am working on an animation too, but that's gonna come out in like some indeterminate time in the future when I actually have time to animate because I'm busy. But what we're doing right now is really simple. We're just going over the characters from Termina and putting them in tier list based on how I personally feel about them. And we're going to make little custom tiers for all of them because going from S to D is just boring. So for S, we're going to have the best. We're going to have the GOATs, all right? The people who define the Termina experience and that drive the plot forward, all right? The characters we love, all right? In A tier, they're chill. We like them, all right? If I see them, I want to interact with them. I want to talk to their character. I want to be near them, have my party. I like them. B is like, they're fine. Like, I might interact with them sometimes. Not going to seek them out like I would like some of the A tiers, especially the S tiers. But like, I'm not going to be like dissuaded from interacting with them. Like, if they're there, and I'll talk. C is like, avoid. I don't particularly like these characters, and I don't want to interact with them. But I'm not going to like purposely kill them off or be rude to them. D is dead on sight, all right? These are my ops. These are the people who need to be put down like dogs with scurvy, all right? We do not like these people. We absolutely despise these characters. So I'm going to start off this tier list by putting one character in each of the 5 different areas. And just so we have like a pillar to work off of about where people need to go. And obviously, this is going to lead to us starting an S tier and then F tier. And then we're going to kind of like do that until we have like all of our pillars set up. And for S tier, look, I know what everyone's already thinking, all right? It's obvious, all right? I've talked about a lot about this character. I defined what made them really important part of the game, and I just can't stop singing my praises about them. And I don't know why I'm hyping them up, because it's obvious that I'm going to pick Cira as S tier. Cira is the defining antagonist of the game. Without Cira, there is no Termina. Okay, that's a little too much glazing. I'm glazing him like a whole freaking Krispy Kreme donut, getting all my cream out on there. No, okay. So Cira in the early game is like the antagonist. Some people want to point at Pav, and we'll get to him, trust me. But Cira, day 1, he's already a menace, all right? Characters like Abella and Marco get special encounters with him. And then day 2, he's already trying to kill off Levi and Dan, I think. And Karen, like, he's a menace on the go. And in the next update, it's already confirmed he's gonna have a whole area that he's gonna be like patrolling and killing people at. Like, how could you not like this guy? All right, he is just too integral. He's just too much of a presence to not like. All right, and for F tier, I mean, we know, it's the worst character in the entire game. I don't like them. I hate them. I talk about how much I hate them because they're useless and give nothing to the plot. Yeah, it's Osa. So Osa, I mean, look, does he have one of the most interesting and intriguing backgrounds? Yes. Is he one of the most diverse characters in terms of the actual history that he offers and how much of the world's lore that he gives from expanses that aren't just the European continent? Yes. Is his initial skill set really good, and does he have a really, really creative soul set? Yes. And do I find his story about him having to realize that what makes him human doesn't make him weak extremely interesting? Also, yes. But he also meditated during my run in a very annoying spot, and I had to kill him. And I don't care how good Soulforge is, he was still annoying, which puts him in F tier. Alright, next I have B tier, and I think a pretty good B tier would be like, Karen. I like Karen. Karen's good. In my playthrough, when I got to her, I just kind of joked that she was just a Frank West clone and that she always just yells, "I've covered wars," you know? But it's honestly a parody of Frank West, and that's what I love about her. She is a parody of that bravado. She's someone who, so if I had to get more into her backstory, she's a character who was taken away from her home and ransomed off as a child. And even though she knew the truth inherently, that she was basically being used as this blackmail token, she was unable to get her word out because she was a child. No one believed her. So she had no credibility. She had nothing to add to her image, even though she was right. And especially her being a woman back in the 1940s, even if she grows up, there's still not a lot of credit to her word given to her because, you know, It's the 1940s. No one was really that kind to anyone who wasn't a white straight man. So you really get her talking about how she covers wars, because she's trying to give credibility and accountability to her word. She's trying to make herself sound important because she feels like she has to, otherwise no one's going to believe her. And that's why I find her character really interesting, because you're able to break this down. And she's a lot deeper than a lot of people give her credit for. All right, so now we need a definitive D tier, and we're going to put Samari. All right, it is obvious. All right, Samari's like the D tier character, especially since she's not playable yet, so I don't know. She's not like the incredibly most compelling character. I mean, look, she has some cool things about her. All right, her skills are pretty nice. They're to get your affinity up with the gods. Her story is kind of cool. So basically, it's like a toxic love story. So she was born with the ability to read minds, and she was put in the same like church as Marina. And being able to read Marina's mind, she's like, "Oh my god, I sympathize with you, Queen, so hard, and I love you. Please be mine." So Samari is just low-key kind of sipping for Marina, but Marina has no idea who she is, which just gives Samari this weird stalker energy. And Samari does like kill Marina's dad, and that's kind of cool, I guess, because her dad was like actually evil. But she's not enough of an antagonist to be iconic like Caligura, so she just ends up being this goonette who just like goes crazy over the hot trans girl. All right, and then for the most average character I can think of, we got Henrik. Henrik is the blank slate, boring character, and I hate to admit it, because he's really useful. He gives you infinite food, which in a game called Fear and Hunger, when half the title is hunger, hunger is kind of important, and he just gets rid of that being hard. So yeah, he's kind of easy. But I don't know, all he's got really going for him is that he's a womanizer. He's got some okay skills. He's just average. There's nothing to super dislike about him. I mean, he's a womanizer, but he's just like the cat collie, slightly annoying kind of womanizer, not like Caligura levels. The gentleman's cool. I probably should have brought up Moonscorched forms more, but none of these would really affect my rankings other than Karen, because Karen has a really cool Moonscorch form, but she's already in a spot that would keep her anyways. Henrik, he's fine. That's why I put him there. He's just average all the way. And let's just go down the way. Abella, S tier. I played her in my playthrough. I picked her for a reason. I vibe with the engineer vibe. Her backstory is so cool, how she took it up on herself to protect the homestead because she wanted to help in the war any way that she could. I really like that her personality, that like she feels like she's too masculine to be performing any kind of feminine role or be seen in any kind of feminine sense, and you get a lot of that in her Shognar Moonscorched. I love her Moonscorched. People hate on it because it's literally just a reference to this thing. No, it's not. She was getting to it because it's a reference to like a bull in a china shop, but it's like an elephant in a china shop. She sees herself as just being too masculine to be a woman, when according to my comments and Reddit, that is just not true. But she sees herself this way. It's like this body dysmorphia, and I love her. I can feel that. I feel that in my soul, really deeply in my soul. I feel that. I wonder why. But also her skills are just cracked out of this world. I mean, weapon crafting is like an S tier skill. You get the best weapon in the entire game for relatively cheap. Like literally, you can get it in the beginning of the game if you know what you're doing. Trap crafting is actually useless. Short circuit is really nice. Easy way to get into Predville. Access to a lot of loot, like a lot of loot. I think it's like 5 chests and a lot more just like regular containers. And then wrench tossing, I've sung its praises. If you know what you're doing, some fights are just jokes early game. Later game it falls off because you'd be using meat grinders instead of the wrench, but it's still really nice. And if she's like on your team and you're not the main character, you're definitely gonna be having her using wrench toss. August is also average. Look, he's the Mary Sue character. He's the son of he's like a descendant of Ragnvaldr, so he's got like stuff that's cool about him. But since he's trying to keep himself so mysterious, he's just boring, I guess. I mean, look, I find him a cool character, but we need to give him as a playable character for him to be more intriguing. Dan is B tier. I like Dan. I like that Dan's Moonscorched form. Dan definitely brings him up to B tier because the fact he becomes Pocket Cat really just shows that like this cool this cool-headed guy on the outside is like deeply disturbed on the inside. Like he acts all normal, but like bro is messed up, and his backstory I'm not like the super most familiar on it because I'm gonna admit it. I don't know a lot about Dan as a character himself. I'm just like me getting like the highlights, the stream highlights. But basically, he's like absolutely tortured by the sulfur cult and like has his like life ruined by them. And he's like, oh shoot, this kind of sucks. And it's because of his encounter and survival from the sulfur cult that he becomes so deeply affiliated with them, and by proxy, he becomes pretty much the next groomed person to take on the mantle of Pocket Cat. And I think he's cool. And skill wise, he's pretty good, I guess. I mean, Magna Medical is situational. Analyze is cranked out of this world. Organ transplant is pretty good for Garrus side effects, especially it can save a run where you get blinded. That's about it. He's good though. Levi's B tier. I like Levi, not S tier. B tier, A tier. Levi's good. I like Levi. Like as a party member, he is terrible. If he wasn't terrible as a party member, he'd be S tier. I love Levi. I love his story. If you play him as a main character, you could just avoid getting a heroin addiction, and that's fine. His skills, they're all right, but you do get to start the trench gun, which pretty much just means you get a late game weapon in the early game. So he's really good. You just don't want to get his heroin addiction, all right? Because that just makes him unusable in any circumstance. Marco's also a B tier. I promise these aren't all just gonna be in the A tier. This is just how it went up. And Marco, I love Marco. Marco's story is great. So the reason I don't have an S tier is because I feel like his story is a little too derivative compared to like how it should be. I mean, it's written out like a JoJo's plot line gone wrong. That's the way I like saying it. All right, he's the classic hero in a JoJo story. He has the thing he has to fight for, which is his sister. And then obviously, instead of getting a triumphant win after he kills his villain, he has to run away, and he doesn't get his sister back in the end. So he can be seen as a failed hero. And I find that cool. It's a twist on the JoJo's format, but like he just kind of plays a JoJo's character. I like his tough guy thing, and like the way he acts with Olivia is really cute. All right, I like that the big tough macho guy is really nice with the cinnamon roll character. All right, it's sweet. It's so sweet. I love that. And God, I really want to put him S tier now. It's so cute. It's so cute. That like brings up my rankings for Olivia and Marcus. I just realized how cute their relationship is, and I can appreciate that. Okay, fine. And I was gonna have Olivia in there. Fine, chill. Look, okay, it's really cute now that I'm thinking about it. Him getting the wheelchair with Tanaka and for Olivia, and then how he like guards her on day one on the train. It's so cute. It's so sweet. You can really see like his soft heart coming out. Like, and Olivia, I was gonna put her in C tier because she's just a genuinely terrible party member as well. But the story got brought up a bit more. So she's basically the forgotten younger sister of Audrey, I think that's her name, who's like the person who becomes Logic, which is a cool connection. I mean, her story is just like her being like always in her shadow, but trying to find her own way to like, I guess, get out of it, which is by becoming a botanist and doing what she likes. And she's just the cinnamon roll girl character, and I love her. But again, like I said, she's in a wheelchair, so, and when you don't get all those nice buffs that you get when she's the main playable character, she's just not as good. Photosynthesis is a mediocre skill at best. At least she doesn't have a heroin addiction, which makes her better as a party member than Levi. I just like Levi's story of being a kid soldier more. But Olivia is just adorable with Marco, and I have to like, appreciate that. It's just so cute. And then Marina, I made 2 animations for her in my video, all right? And it wasn't even just for the collab portions. I already kind of planned that. I mean, Karen got 1. If you count all the little mini animations, Abella blows like Marina out of the water, but Marina got the most in-depth animations where she was focused on the most. It wasn't even just for the collab with Chris Jesse. I just really like Marina, all right? They managed to do a trans character in the 1940s, but really good. I didn't know there's a way, like, it feels like that sentence would have to be forced, but this is like the most natural way you could have done it, and it makes so much sense, and I love it. Like, I hate when in stories they just interject these things, and it's just like, okay, I guess that exists. Oh, why in the Wild West story do you have just the most the group that would never be together ever in any circumstance? Because you wanted to? Alright. But they make Marina and who she is make sense for the time period, and I love that. I love how good that story writing is, alright? Because basically her background is that at birth, her mother is like, oh, you gotta freaking you got your thing down there is gonna make your dad want to freaking turn you into a psycho cultist. Okay, I'm gonna tell your father you're not a dude. And then Marion is raised as a girl, but then it's like, yeah, no, this feels natural. And the game makes it very clear that yes, in fact, she was just meant to be born a girl. And it just makes sense. Sorry, it's so she can avoid becoming a dark priest. But she was always gonna be trans. And we love that for her. She's great. And then we actually have Pav, who is like the twink of the game, and everyone loves him and wants to screw him, but he's mid. He does not play. He's like this flamboyant, loud and angry lieutenant of the Bremen army. So he's a windmill soldier, but he's just kind of Caligari without the sauce. He wants to be an antagonist, but he doesn't have that evil fury in him. And in his backstory, it's because he doesn't actually want to be a Bremen lieutenant. He just wants to get close to the Kaiser to kill him. And he fails. He doesn't even get he gets like one shot in before instantly getting destroyed. He is low-key kind of mid. And then on day 2, he just starts killing people because he felt like it. But then he's not even in an impressive fight. He's really mediocre. He's just everything Caligari is not. He's just not as effective as a villain. And then Tanaka. I was going over Tanaka in my brain a lot, alright? I was thinking, do we put him in F tier? But then I realized that making a sensationalist video wasn't worth it. I wanted to make something that I could be genuinely proud of. And I had to be honest. Tanaka is the best character in Termina. Because here's the thing, almost every other character in Termina is somewhat static. And what I mean by this is that they don't actively try to improve themselves unless you're there. But how does Tanaka do this if he's not recruitable or a party character or like a main character? Well, it's through his storyline with Marco. Now, if you let him hang out with Marco and he survives day 1, first Tanaka has to survive day 1, which he can die on day 1. But day 2, he goes through his training arc. He's getting stronger with Marco. And by day 3, he's the strongest contestant that you can fight. He easily dominates everyone after getting just a little bit of teaching from Marco. This shows that if he had been not raised as a salaryman but as a fighter, Tanaka would have been a whole different beast. He would have been like August on steroids. August wishes he could be Tanaka. So yeah, that's why Tanaka gets the top tier, because he is a man that defines the Fear and Hunger experience. In Fear and Hunger, when you die, when you lose, you don't give up. Because that's not what being human means. Fear and Hunger... Alright, so I kind of want to save this whole rant for I make the Fear and Hunger OG video. But I guess what I want to just leave as a small note here if I go on a rant, because I don't want to go on a rant right now, it's really late, is that Tanaka defines the Fear and Hunger experience and what Fear and Hunger is supposed to mean. And I'm going to leave it on a note there. Anyways, I hope you guys agree with my tier list and all my points. And if you disagree, you're wrong, but I would like to see why you're wrong and correct you. So it'd be nice if you can comment that. And if you like and subscribe, that'd be pretty sweet. I'm not going to force you, but I do know where you live and your IP address, and I'm not afraid to leak it. So, until next time, keep it slimy. Zombie Dev, signing out.